Boss Babes of South Africa. I am here with a very familiar face. This is Zinhle Mayeni, a career coach. Zinhle, welcome back to Boss Babes of South Africa. It's so lovely to have you back again. Officially welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kobini and Boss Babes. It's good to be back interviewing. I know that you wanted this interview for a long time, but yeah, I mean, audit, it's been hectic, but yeah, I thank this Saika event for bringing us together once again.
I just met so many great people. I know you have as well.
Yeah.
Icons that we have admired. Today we met them in person. Khululeko Gobodo is one of my favorites. I don't get starstruck, but today was a very special moment.
Yeah, for me as well. For me as well.
So could you tell us a bit about your career coaching and what it aims to achieve?
Thank you. Thank you. I love that question. You know, when I started my career coach journey, it really came because of, I guess, who I was before. I used to be this, shy, reserved girl. It started even in school where, I would know the answer, but I'm just too scared to raise my hand. It started even in school. In varsity, I was a bit intimidated by those who spoke, English well. I would just shrink. Obviously, that would filter also into the workplace where you would know how to do the work, but because you don't know how to sell yourself, you don't get promoted because you just, shrinking in that little corner. You don't have confidence. And obviously, when you don't have confidence and you don't know how to sell yourself, you're not going to go ahead in your career. And that is what then prompted me to start coaching, because I also had started to have mentors and people that I looked up to, and then I started to just change my behavior through therapy as well. I started changing my behavior and being more confident, even with public speaking. Church also played a very big role in me doing public speaking. So those things actually boosted my confidence such that even in the workplace, I came out more. I did not, stay in my little corner, shrink and watch others do things while I just sit in my corner. That is what really prompted me to start coaching other people who are similar to me, what I used to be. And as a coach, I'm really encountering a lot of, especially young girls, young women who are really passionate about their careers, who love what they do, who are passionate about the CA profession. But when it comes to just getting ahead in their careers, being promoted, you don't see that happening because they are just not out there. They let others do things while they just sit in their corners, and a lot of them tend to struggle a lot with imposter syndrome, where they feel that they are not enough or they are not qualified for this role. And I'm speaking about CAs. Others would be CAs, but they would think that, even getting this CA qualification, I actually didn't deserve it. They would second guess themselves. I have people I coach who are like that imposter syndrome. So I coach then people to get out of that space, get out of the imposter syndrome, be more confident and believe in their abilities. So that is really what prompted me.
That's so good, because I think there are a lot of introverts out there that are just getting sidelined despite the fact that they are brilliant, despite the fact that they can, do the work. But like you say, confidence is absolutely key in any corporate institution. I've recently started my civil servant journey, so I'm very excited. I know, Zinhle, you've been a public servant for a really, really long time. And I guess just navigating that change is also, requiring me to get mentors and life coaches to support me through this adjustment, if I call it. But it's been a really good adjustment, and I'm looking forward to just, finding my feet as soon as possible and being able to add learning and just adding value. And I think as human beings, we're not meant to stay in one particular place all the time. So I have just welcomed this change as proudly South African advocate to start with, to say this is a way that I can now give back to society with my skills and with my knowledge, and to be able to display that.
That's one good thing about working in government, because really in government you become a civil servant, you are giving back to society, to the community. So that is why I have a passion obviously for what I'm doing, working at AG, but also at AG we get to influence government as well. So in a way, we are also just touching the lives of our community. So welcome to government.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think it's going to be a refreshing journey, and it's also going to help me just to shape my mindset around the fact that every day you're going to work with a lot more purpose.
Yes.
And I've just felt that in the last 3 months that I've been at the new role.
Yeah.
It's just a general sense of purpose to think that you're giving back and you're doing it using your skills and knowledge. That's been pretty empowering. And I think maybe just to understand a little bit about, what are some of the lessons that people learn from coaching? What are some of the insights that you can share with our community? I know that there's a lot of CAs and future CAs as part of Boss Babes in South Africa.
Okay. One thing that seems to be big nowadays, or I get a lot of consultations where people want to pass interviews or get jobs. I guess that's what people are learning then, because when it comes to interviews, that's the other area where people just don't know how to sell themselves. They would go for interviews, but then they just won't pass because they just don't know how to articulate themselves in order to get the job. So one of the things that I teach people, the big one all the time, it's confidence.
Right.
Because when you go into any panel, you need to go there being confident. I don't think there's any panel, and I've been in panels, I don't think there's any panel that wants a person who's not sure of themselves.
Yes.
So in any panel, you just need to go there and be confident. Sometimes I even advise people, I'm trying to stop drinking Red Bull. So I even advise people, if you are too reserved, just drink Red Bull before the interview so that it can be at least, that high
Can
mark.
boost you a little bit, yeah.
And I tell them to do that. It's one of the practical things that I tell them to do. I know it sounds silly, but it's actually one of my advice, so that they go in there being confident and all of that. It does help. So that's the first thing I always advise people. Go into the interview being confident, because when you go in there with confidence, even if they throw a question that is, throwing you out, you're at least able to just sit back, be confident and relaxed. Obviously, you're able to sit back and just apply your mind, because there's no question that you won't be able to answer, because there's always common sense. If really they give you a question that is like, too bad or whatever, just sit back and just apply common sense. That is really what you do in an interview. So I advise people on how to pass interview, but also how to structure their CVs, because a lot of people have CVs that are really not attractive.
Right.
A CV has to be attractive. You need to have a sexy CV. It really has to be, because if you think about recruiters, especially in the South African job market, when there's a job post, there's a lot of people that are applying for that job, and you want your CV, firstly, before they even see your face, you want your CV to stand out. And I always advise people, invest in your CV, pay that money, pay that 3,000 to the CV professionals, and have them revamp your CV, so that when recruiters go through a whole lot of CVs, yours just stands out. So that's one of the things that I always tell people, invest in your CV, and then when you eventually get that that interview, go in there being confident. And a lot of interviews then they ask about the technical stuff and then the behavioral stuff.
Yes.
And with the behavioral, really it's based on your experiences. So I always advise people on how to just articulate themselves, talk about your experience confidently, because we all have experience really. But when it comes to technical, a lot of people think that, because it's an interview, I can just say things at a high level. But really, in an interview, when you're asked a technical question, you really need to go into detail. Similar to what we did when we were studying for our ITC, our exams, we think that we need to be detailed then. But even in an interview, when it comes to technical questions, you need to be that detailed. If it means quoting a standard and demonstrating how you would apply it, that is what you need to do. It has to be that detailed. So in an interview, I always tell people also that there's no such thing as less is more in an interview. In an interview, you want to give the panel as much as possible, because you are showing these people that, I'm actually capable of doing this job, I'm a suitable candidate, so just give them more. That is what I normally I advise people on, especially lately. I've just been getting a lot of requests on interviews. How do I pass an interview? How do I get promoted and all of that?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Boss Babes of South Africa, Zinhle Mayeni, who is a civil servant. I am too now. Feels so good to say that. A career coach and someone that can help you to ace that interview. Thank you so much for your time here on Boss Page of South Africa. We look forward to your career insights as the weeks go by, because I think a lot of people are, on the job market looking as to how to ace that interview. I've just come out of 5 rounds of interviews, so I'm tired of interviews, guys, and psychometrics.
Yeah, you are
and
famous
everything,
in
it's
this
just like a lot.
conference. Everyone is just talking to Kovini. She's a celebrity.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.